So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been hearing, excuse me, my apologies for the flashbang. I've been hearing a lot of very, very interesting things about this newest Genshin Impact survey. And so with this in mind, I wanted to go ahead, fill it out, see what these devs are actually bringing to the table when it comes to a conversation about the game, and whether or not we can be a part of the force of the hard-working people that actually fixes Genshin Impact. Because let's be honest, guys, Genshin Impact is in one of the worst states it's ever been. Fueled by a ton of corporate greed, fueled by a ton of super predatory banners, fueled by awful things like exploration quality of life being locked behind character kits, and every single other player who isn't deciding to spend getting some of the worst gameplay experiences possible. So with that in mind, let's see what this survey is all about. First question is, how satisfied are you with the time limit on acquiring talent level up materials and weapon ascension materials available on a weekly schedule? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're choosing anything other than very unsatisfied, there is something wrong with you. There is actually something wrong with you. And the fact that the devs are actually willing to bring this up as a question when they know overwhelmingly the response is going to be very unsatisfied, maybe that means it's actually something that's going to be changed. If you select anything other than this, you actually have a screw loose in your head. There is no reason for the game 4 years into launch, more than 4 years into launch, to still have a time-gated level up system. The fact that you can pull a character and you can't farm any of their mats, until maybe 2 days later is insane. It's absolutely insane. So please, fix this shit, Hoyo. This should have been fixed on the first day of the game. This should have been fixed after HSR released. Because in HSR, you don't have any of these limitations, and all people can keep spamming is Genshin could never. Because as far as the players have seen, Genshin really could never when it comes to something like this. How do you prefer to farm materials? Focus on schedule planning. Guys, why should you need to establish a fucking schedule just to grind for your characters in this game? Please, don't talk about how you pay attention and then plan your farming strategy. People are just like, at this point, you're getting micromanaged in some of the worst ways possible. This is just awful. You shouldn't be planning ahead and looking at a schedule of when domains are occurring to farm for a character. No, this is just... no. How do you prefer to farm materials? Focus on resin usage. I tend to stockpile resin and farm everything at once. I prefer to farm a bit each day, spreading it out over several days. Guys, most people are stockpiling the resin. They're waiting until they're at like 200, whatever the cap is in Genshin right now, and then they just spend all of it. That's pretty much what it is. If you're farming a little bit each day and spreading it out over several days, that's a fuck ton of work. You're just gonna go to the same domain, use all of the resin that you can, and then just leave. It's not like you're gonna go like, oh, I'm going to do a little bit of this one. I'm going to spend 60 resin here, 30 resin over there, 60 over there, and I'm going to do that every... No, nobody does that. Nobody fucking does that. Why do you find the process of building talent, level up, and weapon ascension materials unsatisfactory? The progression feels disjointed. 1000%. I miss them. Time limits make it hard to plan resin usage effectively. They literally have every single reason that people are pissed with the system. These are all actually just like a full definition for why people hate this system. Why do they need to ask so many goddamn questions about this? It's nobody likes this. Nobody's like, oh my gosh, I felt so much more pride and accomplishment because I had to ensure that I was saving all of my condensed resin for the 1 or 2 days of the week that the fucking domain was available. Nobody likes that. It's literally just a pain in the fucking ass. Just remove it from the game. How satisfied are you with the material farming experience from weekly boss fights, where each boss can only be farmed once per week and materials drop randomly? They already know what the answer to this is going to be. It sucks ass. It's fucking awful. It's terrible. It's not good. Imagine farming, not having any of the dream solvents available, farming the boss for your character, and you still don't have anything to upgrade it with. And you can only do it 1 time a week. It sucks. It's awful. And so whenever I think about Wuwa's system and people complaining about it, I'm like, well, it's a 1,000,000% improvement over whatever the fuck slop this is. This is terrible. And I'm glad that Genshin is finally having a survey on this. I think if Wuwa hadn't released, if Wuthering Waves 2.0 was not a smashing success, I don't feel like this survey would be sent out. I'm being entirely honest here. I don't think the survey would be sent out. The devs would have told you to go fuck yourself. How is your material farm frequency? I only farm materials for the characters I'm currently building. When I have characters to build, I farm 3 times a week. When I have characters to build, I farm more than 3 times a week. Regardless of whether I have characters to build, I farm 3 times every... Why 3? Yeah, I only farm materials for the character I'm currently building. Otherwise, I'm doing artifacts. I'm pretty sure there's not... I mean, there might be some people that just farm for other characters that they're not playing. But yeah, I mean, this is such an odd question to ask almost 5 years into the launch of the game. This is such a strange question to ask almost 5 years into the launch of the game. Like, is this not a survey that should have been done in like 1.5 or like 2.1? What is even going on here? What aspects of the material farming experience from weekly boss fights do you find unsatisfactory? You can select multiple options. Oh boy. Among the randomly dropped materials, sometimes I am unable to obtain... Yes, that's a big one. Bosses can only be farmed once a week, and the material acquisition efficiency is too low. Yes. The acquisition quantity of Dream Solvent and other auxiliary items cannot satisfy my needs. Well, yeah, because you need Dream Solvent if you don't get the right drop. And so if you repeatedly get the wrong drop and you run out of solvent, you can just go fuck yourself, essentially, and just not upgrade your characters, even though you spent the weekly boss, like weekly boss resin, and you used up your one clear. They already know what the issues are. Just fix them. You already know what the problems are. Just fix them. Why are you asking this? Do the acquisition limits on the materials mentioned above affect your motivation to build the character? It has reduced my motivation to build the character 1,000,000 fucking %, because I just did the weekly boss and I got nothing to level them up with. What do you mean? Of course, I feel like I just wasted my time. I feel like I just wasted the week. 1,000,000 % it reduces my motivation. And it's just, you know that the system is designed that way by the devs to just actually add another layer of RNG for some godforsaken reason. It's there. Thank you for your answers. That's it? There's nothing else you wanted to talk about? There's nothing else you wanted to talk about? All right. Okay. I see how it is. I think that what this survey has done is it's highlighted to shocking degree how much Hoyo knows about their systems completely fucking the players. They know 1,000,000 % what all of the problems are, right? They know all of the issues with the weapon materials fucking you over. They know all of the issues with ascension materials completely screwing you over. They know all about this, the problems with this. That's why they have a limited time event where everything's open and players are having the time of their life. And they know all about the problems with weapon ascension. That's why they have everything open and players are having the time of their life. And they also know, ladies and gentlemen, how bad the trounce domains are, where you get all of those weekly boss mats. Because you might just need the Fading Cradle, but you're gonna get shit like the Silken Feather and Denial and Judgment instead. And if you don't have these things, which are also a random drop from the weekly bosses, you literally can't convert them. Thank God I haven't run into this issue because I have 62 of them. And so it doesn't really matter for me, but I can understand for a shit ton of players, right, who haven't been grinding these or maybe even newer to the game, they can honestly just go fuck themselves if they don't get the right drop from here. These devs know every single thing that's wrong with these systems, and it is almost insulting. It's almost insulting to the player base that they have to ask them again and get verification from the player base that they're actually problems, even though every single point that they made for the reasons why the system sucks are spot on. It's never been more accurate. And at that point, if you're gonna ask detailed questions like that, give that much of an overview, have that much context on how the game sucks ass, instead of asking for like more permission to fix it, just fix it. Just fix the game. It's not that hard. Every time Kuro has a quality of life for Wuwa, do they ask the player in game, oh, is this really something you guys want? Is this really something you guys... Just fix the game. It's not that hard. You're already having this time limited event that sort of is fixing the game. Just fix it as a whole. Stop wasting everybody's time. Stop wasting the dev team's time. Stop wasting the players' time by making them fill out that bullshit survey when you know what the answers are already going to be. Just take it for granted that players hate the system. Just take it for fucking granted because you haven't implemented this system in any of your other games. You don't have it in ZZZ. You don't have it in HSR. Why is it in this game like this? So with that survey was one of the most pointless things, I think, in gacha gaming. Not because the content in the survey was bad, but because there should be an obvious answer to every single question on there. And the fact that these devs felt the need to ask those questions in the first place is a massive, massive problem. This should have been something that was sent out in like version 1 of the game and fixed in version 1 of the game. And the fact they're sending it out in 5.3, 5.4 is an actual insult to the player base. Let me know what you all think. I think it's trash that they just aren't fixing this, and peace out.